Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Spark Coaching Live Sessions. As usual, joined by the enigmatic Bram Legru. Welcome, Bram, the muscles from Brussels.
Hello, good to see you guys.
And Kylie Denton. Welcome, Kylie, Performance Advisory Group. How are you?
I am wonderful, thank you.
And in your new space.
In my new space. I can't wait to share it. It's so funny. The office only was opened on Monday, yesterday, and I was presenting for the last 2 days. So I haven't even had an opportunity. So today I'm pretty excited, but yes.
No time like the present, and the show and business must go on.
Yeah, that's right.
You're going to put the red print behind you? Is
no,
this your video space?
I'm not even going to tell you. I'm just going to surprise you.
Okay. Oh, fantastic.
Amazing.
I love it. Now, look forward to it, and congratulations on the new space. But without further ado, I've got our special guest presenter and speaker today, Delene Jacovides of Mazi Wealth, founder, principal financial planner. Welcome, Delene.
Hello. Thanks for having me, everyone.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for your time today. Really excited to have you with us. Quite an exceptional story. Delene's started a business pretty much 12 months ago. And for all
about
those
15 or 16 months now.
Yeah, a little bit longer than that. So my apologies. But for all those aspiring business owners out there and or business owners, I thought it'd be a great opportunity for Delene to share with us her journey in business proprietary and give us some tips perhaps on how to get through the first 12 months, the crucial 12 months.
And on the back of COVID,
so what am I
love it.
Yeah, so what am I do, Dylan? I might just welcome you just to tell us a bit about yourself, tell us a bit about Mazi Wealth. I love the name. Maybe its origins there, and we'll take it from there.
Yes, so hello, my name's Delene, and Mazi Wealth came, also Mazi means together in Greek. So when I was coming up with a name, I did want something that was, I guess, reflective of my heritage. So I've got 2 Greek parents, and it's actually quite hard to find a unique business name in the financial planning space. So I ended up coming up with Mazi. It is also quite hard to find a Greek word that is pronounceable and people that can spell it and is not too long. So there's a lot of brainstorming around the name. But I guess that would be my first thing. Like, don't get too caught up on the name. Everyone told me, don't worry about the name. You can always change it later or rebrand. But I do think a lot of new businesses do get caught up with trying to find the perfect name, because you do want it to be reflective of who you are. So I guess the vibe I was going with together is that with financial planning, it is really a relationship with your client, and you are trying to build their wealth and protect their wealth together. So it's not just me dictating to the client what's going to happen. It's around trying to find what's going to be the right solution for them. So that's a little bit about the name. In terms of my journey and story, I've been in the financial planning space for 15 years now, and I was an employee financial advisor for coming up to 10 years. And I've worked in a few different spaces. I've worked for a couple of boutique financial planning firms, self-licensed and also licensed through other AFSLs, and then have also worked for a couple of industry super funds, I started in intra-fund advice. That was how I started my career in financial advice, but then also worked in the holistic financial planning space, but receiving leads from the industry fund. So I've had quite a broad experience in financial planning across different types of licensing models and also business structures. And I guess ultimately I thought, I was coming up to 10 years and I thought, I'm building businesses for everyone else. I'm still young. I thought, let's give this a go. It was always something in the back of my mind that I might want to do. but I had young children as well. So I just told myself when my youngest was 2 years old that I would rip the Band-Aid off and just give it a go. And if it doesn't work out, I can always go back to being an employee, and I've got time to recover if it doesn't work out. But if it does work out, then I've started early enough to really reap the benefits. So that was kind of what ultimately got me to this position now.
Fantastic. Great journey, great origins, good development. Any questions from our coaches, particularly where you both serve similar persons in these circumstances? What are some of the parallels or I guess best or better practices that you've seen that you want to question Delene about to get through the first 12 months?
I got one of which is a mindset piece, because obviously I heard you say, it's been in the back of my mind, and then you obviously settle into something that is nice and cushy and it's working well, and then you get family and things get a bit more complex, especially for women, I'd say. As in looking after more and juggling it all, and running your own business is not easy. So what really made you finally say, let's just do this? Like you said, like there's always this one thing. It's either a positive, as in I'm seeing the aspiration of building my own, or it's something negative that just say, I can't stand it anymore, I got to do something different. Which of the two?
A few things, I guess. So I was working with a boutique financial planning firm that was self-licensed for 4.5 years. That's where I had my first son. I took 5 months mat leave. It's working for a small business. There wasn't any paid parental leave from the business, just government. And so I did take 5 months off and then went back part-time, and then slowly built up to full-time work. I realised quite quickly it is quite difficult to work part-time as a financial advisor. Like in theory, it sounds all well and good to just have less clients, but I think it depends on your type of clients, if they're quite like high touch or high maintenance, or a bit more low maintenance or low touch. So it kind of does depend on your clients, but I really did struggle working part-time, and I think a lot of mums and parents can relate to that. Working part-time, you essentially end up doing a lot of work outside of hours and not really getting paid for that. So I learned quickly, full-time was the way to go for me. And I ended up leaving that business because I was having my second child. I actually took another job when I was already pregnant. So that was quite a risky move. I went into an industry fund. I just wanted to kind of take a sidestep while I was expanding my family. And again, I knew I wouldn't be eligible for any like maternity leave or anything like that. But it was quite a risky move because I was only going to be there for 6 months before taking maternity leave. And it was a bit scary at the start having to have those discussions and negotiate that time off. But while I was on mat leave, another major industry fund closed down their comprehensive financial advice department. And I thought, am I next? Because I'm working for an industry fund, and the landscape is constantly changing. Working for an industry fund is not a profitable financial planning space to be in. It's really, you're working at you're meant to be operating at a cost recovery space. So that was kind of the real kick to move and start planning my business, because I thought, okay, the industry fund space is not long-term secure, I didn't think at that point. And I just wasn't sure if I could work for somebody else again. But it was also around, I had quite a big social media following. So I've got about 7,500 people that follow me on Instagram. And I've had that account for a few years before starting my business. And people were constantly asking me, how can I get advice from you? I really like your approach and your I guess my balanced approach with finances. And, working for different businesses, I just felt like they wouldn't be the normal or ideal client for those businesses. So it was kind of positive and negative stuff that led me to ultimately taking that leap.
Fantastic. Well done.
Yeah, I love it, because what I'm hearing is, I think, and this happens for so many people that are looking to start their own business, is all of these emotions come, don't they? And it's scary and it's exciting and you doubt yourself, but then you believe in yourself, and that's all normal. And I think for many people out there, they forget that that's what happens. I started my business 11 years ago, and I just remember going, God, I'm scared to do this, but I did it, and now I don't regret it at all. That's not to say along the journey that everything's easy. Okay,
Yeah.
running a business is complex. There's so much that you need to do, and so many hats you need to wear. And I'm wondering, Deline, if you can tell us a little bit about how you overcome that fear inside of you, but also how you leverage your support network, that mentorship, those relationships that you need when you are ready to go and jump and do this big, massive business of your own. So maybe give us those two sides, because I think it really is a mindset, as I love how you brought up, Brahm. But also, don't do this alone. For anyone watching, business shouldn't be done alone. Leadership shouldn't be done alone. So how did you bring those two together?
Yeah, well, I guess like I knew it was going to be hard. Everyone had told me it's going to be a roller coaster, and I think what the saying is, like, growth happens outside your comfort zone, I think is the saying. And so I'm a big believer in that. So if I'm scared, it's probably a good thing. I'm going to grow from it. I'll either learn something on what not to do in the future, or learn how to, like, something good will come from it. So big believer in that. I think, it was just like that mindset of knowing that, it's like with my clients, like there's always other options if it doesn't work out. So just taking and practicing what I tell my clients all the time with their lifestyle decisions and things like that. In terms of my support network, well, my husband is an excellent supporter. He's actually an accountant, so he does have a bit of a, financial business mind as well. And it really did help that he was still an employee and had, regular income to then take that leap. Because a lot of people did say, oh, you're leaving a good job and good salary to start your business. Like, that must be really scary with young children. You've got financial responsibilities, you've got a mortgage and things like that. So there's some people that had that attitude when they were hearing I was doing this. And then other people had the attitude of, like, oh, wow, you're starting quite late in your business, because you do hear about people starting their financial planning businesses at 20 years old, whereas I was in my early 30s, where I kind of thought I'm still quite young. I've got plenty of time in my career. But it was also around being in the position where I had enough financial stability behind me from practicing what I preach, so that we had enough cushions, enough assets, and my husband still had his regular income. So that practical side of things really helped to then have that emotional jump into business, which is again what we teach our financial planning clients, making sure we've got emergency funds, assets, things like that, so we can go do these things. So it's just going and practicing that.
A risk approach with an exit strat.
Yeah, definitely. And I think in terms of the support network, I am quite open to getting help and advice from other people. So, I had no problem calling Arthur to ask for, help, or how he does things from the beginning. My husband, like I mentioned, and then other advisors. So I've got a few other really good advisor friends, also happen to be in the Spark group, but then also outside of the Spark group, and just asking how they do things, and just having their constant encouragement, and it's nice to know that 15 months in I'm able to repay the favor, because sometimes they ask my opinion as an outsider, so it goes both ways. And just being really open with and to feedback, and looking at different approaches, and constantly learning and growing, I think.
Yeah, totally. And I think that's important for everyone to know that we've got to have those people around us that we can ask those questions for. I couldn't do business without my mentors or my coaches or the people that I work with, like Arthur and Brahm and others.
Great stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
Hey, Delene, I'm curious. Carly had a really good one. She touched on the multiple hats that you wear, especially, you know, as you're starting up and you're growing and scaling. Two questions I have for you. One, what's the hat that you really enjoy most? And secondly, where do you see your business going in the next 2 to 3 years?
Yeah, good questions. So I've always worked for businesses that I've been quite lucky to have lots of support around me. So I've never had to do like the administration or power planning. Like I've always had that kind of support. So I wasn't naive. And that was actually like probably the thing I was most nervous about. Like I was very confident as an advisor. I know how to be an advisor very well, but things that I was not confident with was doing my own administration, because I've always just like handed that off to somebody else. It took me so long to figure out how to make an invoice, which is something that's so basic, but I just had never had to worry about making an invoice to send to a client. So things like that were quite intimidating. And I think as well, I've never had to go and find my own clients either. So I've always worked in businesses where the leads just came to me. So that was something I was quite nervous about, but that is actually something I really enjoy now that I've been doing this for 15, 16 months. So I really enjoy bringing the clients on board, and still enjoy being an advisor and working on the business. The parts I probably don't enjoy is like the administration and that compliance aspect, but I think that's most financial advisors. So I hired a virtual assistant or a client service officer pretty early on, in 10 months in. It was definitely a balance between the cash flow versus being able to scale, I guess, by having that help. Yeah, and ultimately, I confided in a friend who's a financial advisor, and she was really encouraging of it. She said, you don't enjoy doing those parts of the financial planning process or the business. Like, get someone to help you, and you're going to enjoy it so much more, and then not lead to burnout. So, I'm pretty happy I made that decision early on rather than waiting a couple of years in before getting help, and made plenty of had plenty of learning from that. That experience as well. What were all your questions again? I don't know if I've covered them all off.
Great. The second one was just basically, where do you see yourself going in the next 2 years or so?
Yeah, that's a really interesting one. I went to the Financial Advice Association of Australia, whatever they're called now. I went to their roadshow yesterday, and there was one of the award winners presenting about her business, and she had this graph up there that was talking about like your different directions. Like, is your business a lifestyle business? Are you looking to grow it to be multiple advisors? So right now for me, I would see this as a lifestyle business. And, me and my husband do talk about this quite frequently, that yes, we could probably hire more people and push and grow a lot quicker than what we are. But then we're also trying to balance that with our lifestyle and our young kids, because my kids are 5 and 3 right now. So right now it's a lifestyle business, but I really and I see that being like that for a while still. I guess I just need to make that decision, what I see that looking like in the long term, to make sure I got the right structure and processes and infrastructure in place to help that in the future, if I decide that I do want to grow to be that size.
Great. Just wait till the homework intensifies, Delene.
Homework? Oh, yeah, for school. Yeah.
That's a whole nother thing. Fantastic. Look, great journey, Delene. What I really liked, what you mentioned before, is the conversion of your personal brand into your business. And I was actually talking about this with someone recently who's considering the same step. It's, you only get really one chance. Like, so if you are, working in a certain capacity, and you've built a brand image of how people perceive you. So you were quite a capable advisor working in the super fund space, for instance. That's how people saw you. So people were like asking you through your Instagram account, well, how do we access you outside that space so that we can work with you directly and to access your knowledge and your expertise? And so you only get one chance at that, right? Like, if you're going to go from that image that you've created through your journey and your current situation into, your business like Mazi Wealth, it's not a step that you can get wrong, right? Because your personal brand is everything, because, your business is your brand, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Am I coming through okay, or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're trying to say that, like, I am the business, essentially.
Correct. That's right. It's such an important step, and that's something I want to point out is, you if you don't get it right, you can't call on your personal brand to start your business 6 months later. It's like you got to get it right the first time. So to Kylie's point, it's surrounding yourself with the right audience, the right, your immediate circle of, go-tos, like you've got your business partnerships. It's really surrounding yourself with the right combination, because that step from employee to owner, you probably only get one chance at it, because if you don't get it right, you go back to the exit strategy that you mentioned before, and you have to start, you got to start, because people will say, well, what happened to that last business that you started? So you got to kind of wait, unfortunately people have short memories, and then you kind of wait again, and then you can go again, but it might be years before you can do that right. So I think there's a level of care that you need to take, timing, and also the people that you surround yourself with. Question I have is, what are the 3 best decisions you made over the course of the last 6 months that helped you get to where you are today?
Okay, so one of them was definitely partnering with the right licensee, and I'm not just saying that because you're here.
This is the part where I leave the room.
But that was a big project to work through, and I really wanted to make sure it was the right partnership from early on. I didn't want to have to change licensees, because I know it is such a nightmare to do that. So I did want to make sure it was the right one. And ultimately, there was a number of reasons why I ended up picking Spark. Their focus on technology, the demographic of the other advisors. There was a whole range of reasons, pricing, all that kind of stuff. But one thing that really drove home was like the whole personal branding thing. So Arthur, you've got your book, The Spark, that you had shared with me, and really resonated. I just knew that like our values were aligned, and now that we're 15, 16 months in, I can confirm that. And especially, yesterday at that financial planning roadshow, talking to other industry colleagues and explaining the profit for purpose and what Spark's doing in that space, really reinforced that. So picking the right licensee, because you are partnering with them for a long time, hopefully. So happy with that decision. Also really happy, one of the best things I've done is get really clear on my schedule, because in the early days I would let clients book in at any point in the day, and being really flexible, but learned really quickly that I needed to create boundaries and structure in my day. And I know, Kylie, you talk about this a lot. I've been to one of your workshops for Women in Super where you did like creating your like ideal day, and all of that stuff. So that's been really great, because now I know that I speak to leads at certain times in the day, and then I've got time to do the really deep thinking, so I'm not being distracted when I'm working on the business, like all those kinds of things. It's a lot clearer. So I've been really happy about that decision. And then I think the other decision would be, getting the help, like having the client service officer early on, and also using outsourced paraplanning, because that's not my skill set. So really happy that I've made those decisions early on, and I've used outsourced paraplanning from day one. I haven't written one SOA since I've started my business, because that's not my skill set. So they're probably my 3 ones I can think of right now. There's probably others, but that's what I can think of.
Yeah, no, that's great. I think, it's that tension between, releasing and the cost of releasing, and then, it inhibits potentially expansion. And look, everyone's different. They've all come from different, I guess, experiences and backgrounds. But the earlier that you can confront those tension points to release capacity, and obviously, you're not going to generate the level of income or return per hour effort if you're paying yourself less, if you know what I mean, doing a job that doesn't leverage or maximize your time and value. We're going to probably have to wrap things up pretty soon. I do have one more question. And so if you could tell yourself one thing back when you first started, after learning what you've learned so far today, what would that one thing be?
I think probably like most people would say, just the back yourself and having that confidence. I think even though I had all these people ready to go to get advice that were, contacting me beforehand, I had a wait list. I was still so nervous about having those clients sign up, I guess, and being like not failing. So, pricing is always a really big learning curve for, I think, a lot of businesses, not just financial planning. So, I'd say just have that confidence and back yourself, and that way you're not getting bogged down with maybe the clients that aren't right for you as well. So, that's probably the biggest thing I would go back and tell myself.
No, good.
Oh,
fantastic. What a journey. Congrats. Thank you kindly for the plug, but that wasn't the intent of my question, but I do appreciate, we do value here in the group as well. You're very much valued. You actually sit on a number of our advisor bodies, Delene, so we do sincerely thank you for your extra effort and contribution. So Delene sits on our advisor council, and also our legacy committee, which is the new committee steering our legacy program and our profit for purpose transition. We actually had the charity review session on Tuesday, so you'll get the shortlist presented to you next week when I believe the committee meets, Delene. And there's a number of great charities in there. But I've got my thoughts, but I'll be steered by the committee and not undermine the committee. So I'll be interested to see what you guys and girls come up with as a result of the shortlisting. Otherwise, Bram and Kylie, any closing comments before we wrap it up?
Kylie first.
Yeah, I think probably just to wrap it up, I love those points that you shared, and I think to wrap up that final point is know where your strengths are and outsource those weaknesses so that you can make sure you are where you need to be in your business. Because I tell you, there's a lot of stuff that just should not be done by us. Okay, so I love that you added that point in.
Yeah, I love that. Keep doing what you're good at and outsource what you're weak at. I love that. That's nice and simple and clear, isn't it, Bram?
You articulated that way better than I did.
So good. I'm going to steal that.
Well, you can either spend money to save time, or save money and give time. You can basically do this, either one of the two, right? So anyway, I love the alley that you went to. I only want to say, Delene, I love listening to what you say. I can see why you're already so successful and why Arthur wanted to bring you on. And I really look forward to what's going to come from here onwards, because I think you're going to be a big success in this space.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And we had a comment there. So great insights, Delene. It's been fantastic. I wonder who that is. I reckon I know who that might be, but anyway, we'll talk about it later. Delene, thank you so much for joining us today. Great to have you, and all the best in the future with yourself and Mazi Wealth.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.